I'm Gab. He's Don Hutchison. Jules is on assignment today, but Don.
Second time in a week.
He's a busy man.
You're growing to like me, Gab.
I did 3 out of 4 shows with Don Hutchison. How about that? Gray skies over West London, but we're brightening up the studio for you because there is a lot going on, including I get to do some financial talk later. Some tremendous big shout out to Cape Verde. My boys, Nigeria, just making it onto the playoffs. So tight. Obviously, England, impressive. But let's go to this group, which is driving me a little bit mad.
I bet it is.
Italy and Norway.
Yeah.
I was there. I traveled to Udine for the Italy-Israel match.
How was it?
The whole thing was surreal. So the whole city was under massive lockdown. And the reason being is obviously with the Gaza situation, there were demonstrations and general strikes in Italy. And some of them, there's always a minority who joins in. Most were peaceful, but there's always a minority that joins in into these groups. And then at the end kind of like tries to break away and breaks things. So, this is flagged as an at-risk game. So that's why they decided to play the game in Udine, which is in the far northeast of Italy, far away from everything. Out-of-town stadium next to the motorway, easy to police. There were snipers on roofs. I mean, in the end, it was just a weird atmosphere to play in, especially when you're Italy and you know that you are probably heading to the playoffs unless Norway drop points against Estonia later, which is extremely unlikely. So you just wanted to get the game done. They played against Israel. They won 3-0. I'll tell you what. Oh, that was another thing. It's stadium only a third full because you had the mayor of Udine telling people to stay home.
Right.
That the game shouldn't be played, blah, blah, blah. Again, big political backdrop to this.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep it to the football. You could tell it was nervy. Matteo Retegui opening the scoring kind of via penalty at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
And that kind of sent Italy on their way.
Yeah. Amazing second goal. Amazing second goal.
Matteo Reteghi's a bit special, isn't he?
Yeah, very.
So what did you make of it? Because we're talking beforehand, right? If you look at the Italy lineup in that game, I mean, there was no Bastoni and there was no Moiscan who's been on fire.
Yeah.
I think to myself, like, these are
proper
good
players. Proper players.
Yeah.
I looked at
Locatelli, who you don't like.
No. My beef with Locatelli stems from about 10 years ago because I loved him at Sassuolo, and I always thought he was like, and I'll say this very loosely, he was like a Frank Lampard. He got in the box and scored goals for anyone that's not seen him. Then he went to Juve, and they sort of converted him into a number 6, a sort of Pirlo sort of ball striker, sprayer,
without division.
Which he can do, and I always want that little bit more from him. But I looked at the Italian team, and I thought, like, proper players. Like, there's no weaknesses whatsoever. Fantastic midfield.
This is the weird thing about World Cup qualifying. And that's how I'm going to get your view because people are going to accuse me of being biased, and maybe I am. But Italy are ranked number 10 in the world. 48 teams qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Italy in their history have never been, the lowest they've ever been ranked is 21st.
Yeah.
And yet they missed out on the last 2 World Cups. That's just the nature of World Cup qualifying the way it is.
She might as well just put Italy down for a playoff.
I mean...
So she might as well sack off all the games, but Italy playoff.
It feels that way because they lost to Norway 3-0 early on in this process. Even if they beat Norway in the return leg, which is going to be in November, they have to make up a 16-goal difference over those 2 games. Which either that or Norway, as I said, somehow fails to beat Estonia.
Who'll be on fire. No, Norway.
Yeah, Norway's been on fire. So when you look at Norway... When we hear from Jan Åge Fjørtoft, he obviously leans towards the center, the big, tall center forwards, for obvious reasons. But Haaland, Srloth, the only living Srloth in captivity, who's, by the way, with his feet, has been fantastic. On top of that, they've got Antonio Nusa.
Yeah.
Odegaard wasn't there, but he's coming back. But he'll come back. I'm not sure he'll make it for the November internationals. I mean, last night Xhaka on the FC show in his power rankings, he put Norway at number 6.
Oof.
How does the teams qualify for the World Cup? Too much?
From Jan?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. Shaka did.
Oh, Shaka did, sorry. I mean, Shaka checks his algorithms, doesn't he? He seems to heavily bank on them. Do you know what my takeaway watching Norway off the back of watching Sweden shambles is it just goes to show if you can put a team together, what they can achieve rather than individuals. And that's what I think Norway are. They've got brilliant, obviously, 3 or 4 or 5 individuals. Oscar Bob's another one. but they're not they're not a group of players you look at on the paper and go, every single one of them jumps off the page.
No, and especially at the back, and of course defending, on paper, it's not the same quality as strikers.
No.
That's what happens in smaller countries. And I'm going to ask you about that. Of course, you played for Scotland, comparable in some ways, and we're going to break this down further on the Gavin Jones podcast. So, Don, I want to stick with Norway a little bit because you've had this direct experience, and I'm saying this in the nicest possible way. When you have, I think this is just statistics, right? When you have larger countries, you can have the superstars, and then you will have a supporting cast that, because you got more players to choose from, that will generally be of a higher standard.
Yeah.
What you see with countries like Norway or Scotland, where you played with, you might have had some players who are world class. Wales a few years ago.
Well, Wales is a great example from when I played, when you had Ryan Giggs, Mark Hughes, Dean Saunders, Neville Southall. They were the sort of four big boys.
Or even bringing it closer to our target audience time-wise.
Gareth Bale.
You can mention Gareth Bale. Playing
Aaron
with
Ramsey.
Aaron Ramsey when Aaron Ramsey was at his best.
Yeah.
And like Joe Allen, for example.
Yeah.
And then with that, you had guys who maybe played in the second or third flight.
Yeah.
You had that with Scotland, where you're playing with guys like John Collins and stuff.
Barry Ferguson.
And then other players.
Yeah, coming from smaller teams or coming from a division below. To be honest, Gab, when you're in it, you don't really think about these guys who are playing for teams either in the bottom of the league that you're playing in or the first division, second division. You don't think that way. Like, I know people from the outside do, and they go, "Oh, well, he plays for Celtic, he plays for Rangers, but he might play for a team that's just in the lower leagues, or how has he got a call up?" You don't treat your teammates that way. I get from the outside.
I know you don't treat them right,
and you don't look at them that way neither.
But when you're training with your club, there is a certain basic standard, right?
I get that.
When you go with the national team, you have to adjust because your center half,
of course,
you may need to give him a very clean pass every single time, otherwise he's going to stumble over the ball.
Yeah.
Can you just talk? Was that an adjustment
you
experienced?
No, because I think you've got to trust them, and I know what you mean. Like the obvious and the smart thing to do would be give someone a really easy ball to try and deal with, but then that doesn't improve the standard. So what you want to try and do is keep the intensity up and bang that ball into him. If he can't control it, then it's his fault. If he gives the ball away, it's his fault.
Yeah, because you lose 1-0 and you don't go to the World Cup, which is why you didn't qualify for the World Cup.
Well, I don't think Scotland were going to win the World Cup. But you can't just go like I'm playing for Liverpool, he's playing for, I don't know, Hearts or someone, so I'll give him an easy ball to deal with. You've got to try and keep the standards high.
It's funny because this is a question that I like asking people. I've asked it of many people in that situation, including Jan, who in his day...
No, Jan, you had to adjust your team to play with. Jan, you had to. I played with him at Sheffield United, so there's no point hitting a channel ball for Jan. You got it into his feet.
The way it was described to me too, and I've talked both to people who were, quote unquote, lesser players who played with 2 or 3 great players for the national side. It was also the adjustment that if you're playing with a guy who's a phenomenal passer, for example, he can see a pass.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to make the run because you say, well, there's no way he can get me the ball.
Yeah.
Right. And having to make that adjustment when you're playing with players like that. And I
think that's sort of fair. I think that there's probably a middle ground where you wouldn't want to make it very obvious that you're giving someone a really easy, slow pass because you're more or less saying like you're not good enough to deal with it. You never think that way anyway, because as I said before, you want to keep the standards high. But there must be like a little adjustment. Take Jan, for example. Right, because I played with Jan at Sheffield United, like fascinating teammate and a brilliant guy. But you couldn't play the ball down the channel and say, run after that, Jan, because you couldn't get there. Because
Jan was old at the time.
No, but Jan was brilliant at getting the ball into his feet. So for me, it was a dream. Because he was a centre forward, that was a dream, getting hold of the ball, linked all the midfield players together, linked the wide players together. That was his strength. Balls in the box, good in the air, fantastic ball in around his chest, but you wouldn't play. So I think what I'm trying to say is it doesn't matter what team you're playing in, you've got to try and find out the strengths which you should know already, but identify the weaknesses. That's the most important thing. Don't try and give someone a ball they can't deal with. Make sure you're playing to their strengths.
Doesn't this totally contradict what you said earlier about passing the ball?
No, but I mean, that was more like the tempo of the game. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, but you wouldn't flip one over the top to Jan and go, get after that, Jan. Because he's got what? Okay. So, but the tempo has to be sharp in training.
When it comes to this Norway team, I find it hard to judge them because I can judge them when they played against Italy and they absolutely battered Italy. And for me, that's obviously what cost Spalletti his job. Clearly unprepared. It looked to me like they looked at the game. Oh, they have all these tall guys. Like put Coppola in there for his debut and stuff because we got tall guys too. And then they got done on the counter several times and just completely unprepared. But then I look at these other teams in the group, and Norway generally have their way with them. It's difficult for me to gauge because obviously you can only beat what's in front of you.
I mean, it helps when you got him as your centre forward.
It certainly does. And actually, that's another point. So if we assume that Norway's two best forwards are that guy, Erling Haaland, and the only living Srloth in captivity.
Yeah.
Haaland is used to being up front on his own, to being the focus of everything.
Yeah.
Srloth obviously does play in a front two with Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
And, maybe, and he's got good feet, doesn't have Haaland's athleticism. But they still have to adjust because Haaland looks around and he's like, but what I'm saying is when Haaland plays for Norway, he's like, I don't have Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne when he was there and stuff like that, and Rodri getting.
But I bet he loves playing with Srloth. I bet he loves it because he can take the burden off him. Because normally, as you said, with a Man City, he's playing up front on his own, touching the ball like 7 times.
Right. So the fact that in the midfielders, other than Odegaard and Sander Berg, nobody can really pass to that.
Bob from a wider area.
Right.
I know what you mean.
Bob and Noose are wide, right?
Yeah.
So it's just it's an adjustment, I guess.
No, massively. But I think if you asked Erling Haaland and you said, what's it like playing with Srloth? I think he'd say it's amazing. He's great in the air. He's physical. He can play the width of the box. He's got a good touch. He occupies defenders. Because I see an interview with Erling Haaland a couple of weeks back when he got asked the question about hardly touching the ball and you didn't have an impact in the game. And his sort of response was, well, I can still have an impact on the game if I'm not touching the ball because I can move defenders around for other people.
Right.
Fine, because that's the modern game. I bet he loves playing with 2 up front. I bet he loves having a teammate up front like Srloth who can take a lot of the weight off him. I bet he loves it.
Yeah, Manchester City should sign Srloth.
There you go. Breaking news.
Breaking news. Viking duo up front.
Gyökeres and Isak.
All right, I want to turn it back to Italy because this is the creepy thing. And I am not superstitious. Many of my countrymen are. Many people in football are. And the thought that keeps me up, because of the very complicated seeding system in the playoffs, if Italy do end up in the playoffs, and I think there's a really strong chance they will, Italy will be drawn against either North Macedonia, who kept them out of the World Cup in 2022 via the playoffs. Yeah. Sweden, who kept them out of the World Cup in 2018 via the playoffs. Northern Ireland, who kept them out of the World Cup in 1958 via the playoffs. Or Romania, who there's no World Cup involved in this one, but in 1982, when Italy were world champions, they were drawn in a Euro qualifying group with Romania, and Romania. So
you ain't sleeping, doesn't matter who they get. Well, basically, the moral of that story.
Is this a thing, right?
No.
I don't know. Are you superstitious?
No.
But you've had a lot of teammates who were.
Probably. But I mean, when
they don't talk about it. You just
no, because ours are like putting the boots on and putting your shin pads on, and it's like, read the program, have a massage, or have a bath, or have a shower, daft stuff. Right? I don't think you ever went into a game thinking like we're not going to win because of history. Players wouldn't look back at 1958, did you say? Yeah. 50, like players are not looking back that far.
Yeah, but if it's North Macedonia, I think everybody remembers 2022.
I remember that, yeah. I do remember that. That was pretty embarrassing. Well, Gav, give me your take, because when I obviously commentate on Italian football, and I look at the Italian team, I'm going, how's this team, or how are these individuals not excelling? Because they've got a midfield to die for. They've got goal scorers, they've got fantastic defenders,
they're
good goalkeepers.
You mean as a team? Why don't they?
Yeah, why they find themselves in this bother?
I mean,
who's the midfielder today? Sandro Tonali, Barella, and Locatelli.
And Locatelli, yeah.
Like, come on.
So I think when you say they're not excelling, all right, they were terrible against Norway. That's one game with a coach who's no longer there, who completely misread everything and got everything wrong. In the other games, they won all their games.
Yeah.
Right?
Has Gattuso got this?
Well, he can't undo the 3-0 defeat.
No, I know. Right? I know that because what I think
is interesting about Gattuso is he's not as good a coach as Spalletti or Mancini, who came before him.
Yeah.
I think he'd be the first. His managerial career reflects that.
Yeah.
So he tends to keep things simple. He doesn't go on these sort of tactical flights of fancy.
No, why would he? He's all about the passion.
Exactly. When he needs to, like when they played Estonia and won 3-1, he's like, all right, there's a remote chance that if we manage to score 7 or 8, we can sort out this goal difference thing. So I'm going to play next to strikers. We'll have the ball all the time. So, he goes and he plays Raspadori with Ken and Retegui. And that's fine. But he doesn't go and do weird things with his lineup or sophisticated things because I think he knows his limits.
Exactly.
Right?
Which is no bad thing.
Yeah. I think he's keeping it simple. There's a certain humility to it.
Yeah. And players sometimes like that. Players like to be kept simple.
Players like that.
Put us in a system, tell us what to do, away we go.
Yeah, his whole 4-2-4 thing, which we're seeing more and more, by the way. I don't know if I want to promote it to a trend.
Which is basically 4-4-2.
Well, it depends.
From the 80s and 90s.
It depends of the instructions.
It's going full circle again.
Yeah.
4-2-2-2-2.
It's hard to invent anything in football, Don, as you know. But yeah, it does make me a little nervous. But I look.
Who do you want in those teams? I mean, I know you'd say Sweden because obviously they've just had an absolute shocker, but they're still got good players on paper.
I mean, look, it's very simple.
Especially if Graham Potter takes the job. So
they have to win that, and then obviously you don't just win that playoff because you get to play at home against that opponent. If you're a top seed, and Italy will be a top seed if they go to the playoffs, and then you play another game because it's like basically you've got 2 playoffs, and then you have to play a playoff final.
That was another one.
4 days later.
Yeah, didn't know that.
Somebody else. And that's the big question mark. When we think back to when Italy were knocked out by North Macedonia, which was a game that they absolutely battered them. I don't remember what the XG were, but they were enormous. And then North Macedonia, if you remember, this crazy shot from outside the box in injury time, and they're out. Had Italy advanced, we speak of it as like, oh, Italy got knocked out of the World Cup. Had Italy advanced, they would have played Portugal.
Yeah, I remember that.
Who has that Cristiano Ronaldo guy. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not just him, but
I know what you mean.
So I don't think you can take anything for granted at this stage. My take is you're number 10 in the world. People say the FIFA rankings, they can be gained and so on. Well,
can't prove it.
But when it comes to individuals, I think Italy are probably 10th to 12th, maybe. Yeah. They're in that range.
Yeah.
So the players are there.
Yeah.
The coach may not be phenomenal. Guess what? I don't think Didier Deschamps is a particularly good coach.
No, Jules always says that.
Coach either. I know.
Yeah.
So if they don't make it. So basically, when you say, well, we don't control our destiny. No, you don't control your destiny in the group, but you do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think it's significant.
I think it's time. It's time when you look at this group of players now to step up and play like you're 10th in the world. Go and prove it.
Yeah.
Don't get knocked out in the playoffs.
And there's certain teams that simply don't run up the score. Because when you know how it is, when you play against Estonia or Moldova, if you score first, the most infuriating thing, and one of the reasons I think qualifying is often unpleasant, is if you're playing Andorra or San Marino, normally you would think, oh, look, we'll score straight away. And then they'll have to
I laughed because we went to San Marino when they were like San Marino, and I scored the winner in a 1-0 win away from home. And you'd think it should be like 9 or 10.
Well, but you say that, but like even if you'd scored in like the 3rd minute, and you would normally think at club level, okay, we're taking the lead, the other team's going to, they can't just sit.
Yeah.
No, but San Marino and Andorra, what they often like to do is for them losing 3-0 to France, oh, look, it's a victory.
Exactly.
Right? And I think the Nations League has partly changed that, and that's why the Nations League has been one of the best sort of innovations that we've had in international football. But Norway can keep battering you because they pump the ball in, they got the big guys and stuff like that, and Italy they just don't do that. And that's why that was such a big deal when they put 5 past, I think it was Estonia in qualifying. Whoa, look at this, So, yeah. All right, look, Italy have to earn it. Norway, I think, deserve to be there. I think Norway will win the group, and I think they deserve to be there. And I'm excited to see what Erling Haaland could do in a World Cup.